Michael Collins admitted he would be a marked man for the rest of his life after a candid confession over his role in the Apollo 11 moon landings. On the 21st of July, 1969, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins made history when their Apollo 11 mission successfully put the first man on the lunar surface. Armstrong became an overnight sensation, jumping off the lunar lander and delivering his iconic "one small step" speech to the millions watching back home, before being joined by Aldrin shortly after. Meanwhile, Collins piloted the command module Columbia alone in lunar orbit for 21 hours, while the pair carried out their experiments on the moon. But, the legendary astronaut made a heartbreaking confession over his role in the iconic mission more than 50 years on. Speaking in 2019, he told ABC, "They were wonderful crewmates, each in their own way. Buzz was from a technical background. Neil was not only a highly experienced test pilot, but he knew the whys and the wherefores of what of the spacecraft. You were knocked back and forward during liftoff. That went on for maybe 5 or 6 seconds before it was over and we were clear. We looked out the window and my god, that moon was immense and so three-dimensional. You have the sunlight illuminating the ring of the surface. I looked back from 230,000 miles away and I saw this tiny little object, somehow beyond its size and gloss. It projects a feeling of fragility. It's a fragile tiny little thing." Big Collins, now 89, said he was not envious of his colleagues who got to walk on the lunar surface. He was much happier in the safety of the command module. He added, "I like being in the command module by myself. I had my own little way of doing things. I had hot coffee. I took the center seat out and it was almost like being in a little church. As far as feeling left out or anything, not at all. I felt very much an equal partner with them. They only had one little motor. That was it and it had to work perfectly. If it didn't they were stuck on the moon and I was not going to commit suicide." Collins then highlighted the sobering predicament that Armstrong and Aldrin may not have made it back from the moon, in which case he admitted he would have returned home alone. He continued, "I was going to come home and I would not have been a happy returnee. I'd be a marked man for the rest of my life. I worried about ever having to be in that situation. I had bet Neil a case of beer that we would not flip over during return. We hit the ocean so fast that Buzz, who was all prepared, his hand was jerked off and he missed the circuit breakers. I turned the switches and they didn't work, because he hadn't pushed in the breakers. So we flipped over into stable 2 and I owed Neil a case of beer.